Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. John here from Wild Boar Cycling. Hey, it looks like we've got our routine going on right now because I got another unboxing this week. And this one looks like is from SILCA. Here's a clue. You might see my checkpoint set up here behind me. It's missing a chain. I wonder if that's a clue. Sit back and enjoy. So yep, here's a box from SILCA, and I'll give you some more hints as I'm going through here. We're getting ready to go on an extended camping trip, and it's going to be a lot of cycling involved. And we're going to be gone for quite a while, and you know already that I'm a fan of waxing a chain with SILCA products, and the link is somewhere up here for one of our original ones. But I got this one here, and let's open it up and see what Josh and the fellows from Indianapolis sent to me today. Here we go. I'm gonna turn the camera down a little bit. As always, you gotta love a YouTube unboxing, but you only get one chance to do this, so we wanna make sure we get it right. By the way, Brian doesn't know that I'm doing this yet. He's going to be so impressed. Here we go. Take out the plastic. Oh, wow. Well, you guys have seen this before. Here's some super secret sauce. That's what I typically use in between waxings to keep my chain nice and quiet. But here's what we're looking for right now. Oh, yeah. This is the SILCA Endurance Chip. Now, I'm going to turn the camera around again and talk a little bit about why I'm choosing to try out this product right now. And hey, you folks out there in YouTube land, rest assured I'm not going to make you sit around and watch wax melt for the next 35 minutes. Hang on. So before I drop this over into the wax I've got going on over here in my crock pot, I don't have one of those new fancy dancy ones that heat it to a certain degrees. I got this crock pot for $5 at a thrift store. So I've been using the Secret Chain Blend for a couple of years now, and I've been super satisfied with it. However, the prospect of having this extra long trip led me to think, gosh, man, I'd like something to maybe extend the life of it. So, you know, I'm reading on the back of here, wow, extend the life of re-waxing up to 600 to 800 kilometers before re-waxing again. Hey, you know, that's 2 to 3 times longer than the typical chain blend goes. Now, you might read that SILCA has another chip, and that's their speed chip. That won't last as long, but man, there's more efficiency in the wax itself, and it's gonna give you some extra watts. I didn't feel like I needed those on the checkpoint. This is a long endurance ride, and I'm not going for speed like I maybe would in a criterium or something a little bit shorter. So this is the Endurance Chip. Let me go ahead and take it out here. We'll just take a look and see how it looks before I drop it in the pot. Once again, you gotta love YouTube unboxings. You don't know what you're getting into. Well, here it is. This is the Endurance Chip, and once my wax over there gets nice and hot, I'm just going to lay that down in there and let this melt in there too and blend it all together. Let's see how this goes. So I'm still using the old school way of heating up the wax, and I've got the Secret Chain Blend already heated in here. So what I'm going to do now is add the Endurance Chip into the wax, and then let that all melt. Move the lid out of the way. I'm just going to drop that right in there. Boom. And it immediately sunk to the bottom. So wasn't quite as dramatic as the one that Josh shows on the videos on some of his advertisements. But now we're going to let that all dissolve and mix in there with the Secret Chain Blend. And then over here I've got my chains that I'm going to dip in here. All right, so I feel like I'm working on one of those cooking shows right now. I've got the wax and the Endurance Chip all melted, and Look down in there, you can see that I'm ready to drop in the chains I intend to wax. So let's see what happens here. One of the first things you're going to notice is all the little bubbles that come out. And that is the wax replacing the air in between all those rollers. And you can see that, oh my gosh, I hope you can see that bubbling up like that. And so that was the force chain I just dropped in here. Now let me drop in the rival one, and we're gonna have the same effect. So we're gonna let this sit a little bit and cool. And once again, I'm using the old school method of, just using the crock pot and heating the stuff up, but you can still see everything bubbling. And that is the wax going into the rollers. All I'm using here to keep track of those chains is a bent spoke. And if I happen to lose one of those down here, I've got a set of long nose, needle nose pliers that'll do that. But you can tell from the bubbles that, gosh, it's doing what it's supposed to do. Now the next step is wait till this cools enough to skim up. And then I'll take the chains out, and then we'll be on to mounting the back on the bike. So just so that you can see what I've done over here, and my last step is going to be breaking this up and make sure it's nice and flexible before I put it on the bike. But I took the old chain, the rival chain, and just go ahead and wax it up and turn it in. And I'm just going to take this guy right here, and I'm going to take this with us on our trip just in case I need another one. And next step for me is going to be actually installing this chain back on the bike. And it feels like it's just about ready to go. One of the things I guess I'd like to point out here for a moment before I drop that back on here is sometimes in between the links here, I get an excess buildup. So I just kind of look at it before I put it on the bike to make sure they're all cleaned out. Remember, when you wax your chain for the first time, you're going to put it back on the bike, and it's going to take a little bit of time to bed in. But after you ride for about 15 minutes, it's going to get really, really super quiet. But I kind of look down through the links and make sure there's nothing extra in there. And if there is, I just go ahead and take my little, there's a little bit sticking in there right now, and a little bit in this one, because I don't want too much of that in between the rollers. That just makes a mess out of everything, and it's not really essential to what we're doing here in the project. All right, so that looks good to me. I'm going to go ahead and drop this on the bike and see how it works. My particular strategy when I go to put this on here as it falls off is I kind of start with that front chain ring, and then I come up here with it, and it's going to be a little stiff until some of that wax in between the rollers gets worn in, because that's typically gonna happen with this. So I just kind of press it down onto that before I go back and put it on the cassette. So I've got it on my cassette in the back, right through the derailleur. Let's go ahead and pull this tight. You see it's going to fit just fine. And remember, there's going to be some bouncing that's going to go on as you do this for the first time, because you're going to want to push all that excess wax out of the way. Boom, boom. And drop it on the front. And you can see right there, it just doesn't want to sit right away, but it will in a moment. And now we're just going to take it around here a few times. Well, folks, there you have it. The Endurance Chip from SILCA. Simply put it into my secret blend wax that I've already had going, that I've been using now for well over a year, almost 2 years, going on 2 years now. And been super happy with this product. I want to see how this is going to work out in the field as I take it into some little longer rides and some really challenging terrain. I won't know that. I'll post something up here on the channel here in a few weeks after I go out and ride it for a while. In the meantime, you might see something pop up on our Facebook page too about some interim thoughts on this whole idea of the endurance chip versus the speed chip. I went with this one because we're going to be out for a long time. And next week, I'm going to have something different. I'm going to talk about packing and the gear and the equipment that I want to take, especially with the parts, because we're going to be in very remote areas that you might need when you're out and about on a long trip. Maybe give you some ideas that if you're going to go out on a long cycle trip that might be helpful. Okay, so in the meantime, hey, if you like this, Make sure you do the like, subscribe, and notify, and all that standard stuff. And oh, one more disclaimer. We're not sponsored by SILCA. We just really love their product. I love what he's done with this, and I'm really excited. I think this is going to turn out really great with the Endurance Chip. So in the meantime, go out and ride, have some fun, and of course, keep the rubber side down after you smash that subscribe button. Bye, y'all.